How do we understand the relationship between land and colonialism? This is the question of Palestine. At its best, Palestine can offer new ways to think about land and history. Yet, histories and historiographies of Palestine remain bounded to the territorial and conceptual borders of the nation-state. My book project, From Baltimore to Beirut on the Question of Palestine, seeks to chart an escape from these confines. The central figure of my narrative is a Palestinian man who was at once a colonial officer and a colonized subject, an enslaver and a refugee. I explore how his trajectory from 19th century mobility across Baltimore and Sudan to 20th century immobility in Lebanon places the question of Palestine in a global history of race, capital, slavery, and dispossession. Naim Qutran was born in 1877 in the northern coastal city of Acre, Palestine, at that time under Ottoman rule. He began his education at the Syrian Protestant College in Beirut, now known as the American University in Beirut, and in 1899 he traveled to Baltimore to continue his medical training at the University of Maryland. Naim returned to Palestine to become one of Acre's first registered medical doctors. During World War I, he served as a medical official in Durman, Sudan, under Anglo-Egyptian rule. On his return to Palestine, then under British rule, his in-laws gifted Naim an enslaved woman named Sada. Naim and his young wife, Anisi, manumitted Sada, but she lived and died with them as their domestic servant. 8 miles northeast of Acre, in a village called Nahr al-Naba'a, Naim owned about 20 hectares of land. During the War of 1948, his children and grandchildren took refuge in Lebanon and Egypt. Naim and Anisi stayed on the land in an attempt to hold on to Palestine's shrinking remains. They lost that battle in 1951 and became refugees who lived the last years of their lives in Lebanon. That doctor, Naim, and his wife, Anisi, were my great-grandparents. By sheer coincidence, I encountered them in ways that inspired new questions about history and the lived present. From Baltimore to Beirut is a sustained reflection on race, medicine, the meanings of archives, and the writing of history.